Herman Deal, the real deal here. Today I'm going to talk about the difference between different types of beef sticks. I've pretty much always recommended the Chomps beef sticks, this brand here, Chomps. They come in different sizes. This one here is smoke flavored, very, very yummy. This is probably the most common brand, just a regular and flavor. There's a sea salt one that it has a blue packaging. That's actually my favorite. But in any case, Shantz has been around for several number of years, and they were the first that I know of who came out with the idea of grass-fed and grass-finished beef. Remember, if it just says grass-fed, then that means that the cow ate grass throughout its whole life except for the final 90 days. So grass fed doesn't mean the whole life the cow was fed grass. It was fed up to the final 90 days. And then it was probably fed corn, soy, wheat products to fatten it up and put it out in the market. And then it got slaughtered when it was really fat. More profitable for the meat industry to do that. Grass finished then just means that, throughout the whole life, including the final days, the grass continuously always only ate grass. Some people like grass fed more than grass finished, but if you want the healthiest beef, then you want it to say both grass fed and finished. So this is something interesting. Chomps has been around for a number of years, but what's going on when I go to Aldi's and I see grass-fed original beef sticks, and it says here, but it says grass-fed, and then it has two asterisks. Notice the asterisks. What does that mean? Of course, this costs less than the regular Chomps. This is a competitor. They seem to be Aldi's brand. Aldi's is known for selling pretty cheap food. And you can see here, made with 100% grass-fed and grass-finished beef, but it has two asterisks. It's just like, what? What's going on there? Is that very different than the Chomps, which cost more? Well, of course, nowadays, what did I do to figure this out? Of course, I use ChatGPT. Okay, so here I asked ChatGPT a side-by-side comparison with Sims and Chomps. Sims has 10 grams. This one here, 10 grams. That's the brand that Aldi's makes. And this is Chomps, the bigger one. This size here has about 9 grams, even though the Chomps does say 10 grams. There's always a little bit of wiggle room there. They both have about the same amount of fat, Sims 7, Chomps 6, sourcing difference. Okay, this is important. Chomps is stricter, 100% grass-fed and finished with verified sourcing, while Sims leaves a little wiggle room with their grass-fed and finished wording. Additives and preservative. Chomps tends to be cleaner with less chance of extra stabilizer. Sims is still solid, but depending on the fine print, it might have a couple of extras for shelf life. The price difference. Sims, Aldi's brand, is way cheaper per stick than Chomps, which is more of a premium health store product. Bottom line, they're almost twins. Both are high in protein, low in carb, no sugar, and decent fat balance. Chomps edges out on the health front. If you want strictest quality control and verified sourcing, then Chomps is better. Sims edges out if you want 90% of the benefit at about half the price. So if your priority is absolute purity, then you want to stick with Chomps because it has the strictest quality control and verified sourcing. However, if you want to save some money, you can go with Sims, which is a solid choice. You're not sacrificing nutrition, or you are a little bit, but you get a better price. So like everything else in life, if you want the absolute healthiest thing, yes, you're going to pay more. That's just the way it is. You're going to pay more if you want to be completely strict and healthy and the absolute top-notch quality and sourcing. Okay, here I'm showing, if you take the grass finished beef stick, which is chomps, take it, you squeeze it, can see it's dry. No fat comes out. With the Paleo Valley stick, the Paleo Valley is only grass fed. That means that the final 90 days, you can see if you squeeze it, there's just a lot more fat in there, and it also feels oily. You can tell there's a difference between grass fed and grass finished, which is the chomps. Some prefer one over the other, but you can see there's more fat, and this definitely feels more oily when it's only grass fed as opposed to grass finished like this is. Okay, so there you saw some comparison. So first of all, if you're going to take a car trip up to Orlando, whatever, up your game. Don't rely on stopping at a gas station and buying some beef sticks there, okay? The gas station beef sticks are junk. They're usually full of sugar. They're starting to become healthier because people realize that, for crying out loud, get something healthy. But I would avoid that. I would only stick to grass-fed and finished beef. You saw in the previous video there that the grass-fed only, which means that the final 90 days the cows ate lots of soy, corn, wheat. When you squeeze the beef sticks, which is either Archer or Paleo Valley, not as good. A lot of grease comes out, not as tasty. I don't enjoy them as much at all. I don't enjoy them as much as I do either one of these two that are grass-fed and finished. So that's number one. Up your game to grass-fed and finished beef sticks. Okay, that's number one, what I would suggest. Number two, between Chomps and Aldi's, I don't think there's too much of a difference. The good thing is that Chomps is everywhere. It's at Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Publix, Walmart, and at Aldi's. There's a How I Built This podcast about the story of Chomps, which I listened to. Very interesting story. I admire the founders of this company. They went through a lot of work and a lot of challenges to be the first to come out with grass-fed and finished beef sticks and to be able to mass produce it. Now, the Sims, the Aldi's brand, obviously they're trying to copy the hard work these guys made. They come out with a product that's almost but not quite as good, but you do save a lot of money. So what I do when I go to Aldi's, which is not all the time, the only thing I really buy there are the cheese crisps and my organic coffee. But when I go, I'll always get a bag or two of these Sims because it does cost a lot less. And while I'm there, I'm going to get it. But since Chomps is everywhere, I end up usually eating more of these. Either one of these I think are good. And the truth is, taste-wise, there's not much difference. This is maybe the Chomp seems to be a little bit harder, but I kind of like that. The Sims, for whatever reason, for me seems to be a little bit more fatty, but that's just my taste buds. That can vary obviously from person to person. So either way, this is critical, people. This is important. This is more important than you think, and here's why. These beef sticks make a difference in your life. This is going to make a difference on whether you hit your protein goals as a man over 40. Okay, so remember, Occam's razor is all about simple. Simple is king. We want to make our lives simple. So you're a busy man, you're out going to business lunch, dinner, whatever, you're traveling, you want to have these available. Because you may go have a business lunch, and let's say you go to a Latin restaurant, Cuban restaurant, like there's a lot of them here in Miami, and if you want a piece of meat, it's going to come with rice and beans and fried plantains. You should avoid all that stuff. All that other stuff is just filler food, stuff you don't need, stuff that if you eat it, then you're going to get about 40, 50 grams of protein from the meat, but then you're going to feel filled up if you eat the salad, rice, beans, whatever else they serve. That's filler food. don't go for that. Only eat the meat. And if you're still hungry, either order another plate, pay for another dinner, or you have your beef sticks. You go into your car and now you eat 2 or 3 of these, you're full. And that makes a big difference. Now, instead of just eating 50 grams of protein, you ate 70, 80, 90 grams of protein because you had your beef sticks available. So this becomes very, very important. The one thing men over 40 should keep track of, more important than calories, fat, carbohydrates. I don't keep track of any of that stuff. Protein, that's it. Because that's the downfall of man when they hit 40 plus. We're getting lower in testosterone. There's a thing called sarcopenia, which is really the underlying disease of why men die younger than they should. It's sarcopenia, loss of muscle as we age. And a big factor to that is that we don't eat enough protein. We eat too much filler foods, too much rice, beans, fried plantains, salad that we think it's healthy, and it's really not. It's just filler food. So get your beef sticks, do that. You'll be healthier for it. Thank you for watching. I'll be out Thursday with Mr. Skeptical, next Monday with another subconscious fat video. Bye.